Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Star Wars: War of the Bounty Hunters. This is the director's cut. Basically, what I'm getting here is the entire comic book twice. The second time, just the inks, just the finish is done, no colors on it. And I'm gonna be honest, man. It's let me go back to one of the pages that's not actually revealing too much. Nope, that's revealing too much. Oh, for Christ's sake! Here we go. Bang! Just seeing the inks being done on this. Oh man, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous book. I love this, man. Wow, incredible book. Let's get talk about who made the comic book. We'll go from there. And I do have, I wouldn't say it a gripe, but it's one of those things where I'm a little bit hurt because there's a missed opportunity in here. But I could be wrong. You make that decision, not me. So this is War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha. Director's Cut, Precious Cargo, written by Charles Soule, illustrated by Steve Mother Effin McNiven. And let me tell you something. Oh my God, it is amazing. Guys, if you can get this director's cut, do it. It's $5.99 US cover price. Just do it. Color art by Laura Martin, who is never, ever a slouch, but whew. Letters by VC's Travis Lanham, cover art by McNiven and Frank D'Armata. And there's a bunch of other covers out there. Don't forget there's a Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles exclusive variant cover from Ken Mother Effin Lashley, baby. I'm waiting for mine to come in. I said it. Waiting for mine to come in. We get Boba Fett. You'd figure immediately after he leaves Bespin, the Cloud City, right? And he calls up Jabba, but Bib Fortuna answers because he's like screening all of his calls, little punk, with his big freaking gullet. He's all like, the mighty, awesome Boba or Jabba demands that you bring the thing in. He's like, yeah, shut up. Shut up, pool boy. All right. I'll bring him in when I bring him in. But he's like, yeah. I'm trying to bring him in. You make sure that the dude's got my money for me because I want to leave as soon as, this is done. All right. Got enough people gunning for me. Yeah, we get some of that. Now, this is a comic book that pays a lot of homage to my least favorite Star Wars movie ever. And mind you, I only consider the original series and the prequels the true Star Wars story. I did not like the sequels. Sorry, hate me later. But so of the 6 true Star Wars movies, I can kind of count Rogue One in there also, because yeah, definitely. So 7. Attack of the Clones. I despise that freaking movie. I despise the title, and even though I get where the title comes from, I despise that movie. But there were, like, you took the good parts of that movie and you brought it here. So things that actually matter. Okay, let's go with there. You remember that dude that was all like, hey, Obi-Wan, what do you say? What was his name? Chodo Boy or something like that? Anyway, whatever the hell that four-armed fat pudgy boy freak short order fry cook guy's name was. That freaking guy. You get a one of his species, one of his race in here. No, it'd be a species. And he's the guy who's talking to Boba, because Boba's sitting there talking to Bib Fortuna, and all of a sudden the freaking carbon, what is it, the carbonite thing that's supposed to keep him frozen, keep Han Solo frozen, it starts to give out. He's like, oh crap. So he brings it to this dude. And he's like, hey, check it out. I need you to fix this. He's like, yeah, I need you to pay me. He's like, listen, come on, man. And there's a big exchange. And honestly, I get it. And it's like, there's a history between these two. And I'm annoyed at what happens later. But there's a history between these two. And I kind of want that explored. Even if just a little bit. Even if it's a one shot. I would like to see that explored. But even if it isn't, just enough was given here. I don't trust you. It's like, you're telling me we go way back? Yeah, that's why I want my money up front. Dude, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And I like the idea they're saying that the way that this thing is malfunctioning, it's that it's not going to unfreeze him and he's going to get up and walk around and have the freaking, snow blindness or whatever. No, it's going to be that his whole body actually turns to goo. Okay, sick. I'm digging on that, The guy says, listen, if you can't pay me, and I don't take credit, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to need you to go into a tournament and kill this person because I lost money on a person that this person killed. Okay, there's a big what to do, and Soul is amazing. All right, Soul, this is going to sound weird, but Soul actually gets soul. he gets the idea that people are complex everywhere, all around, right? There's not just the idea of, oh, you need me to go kill a guy? Only one. Because they could have done that and that would have worked with Boba Fett. But instead, he's sitting there thinking, he's like, I've already got enough people gunning for me. And that's the setup. This is an alpha book, all right? Marvel's been doing this lately where they'll have a little event and there'll be an alpha and an omega, right? So you can tell this is basically the intro to the story and why the story is happening. And then there's going to be the epilogue to it. And we're going to call that the omega. Okay, I dig it. I don't have any problem with that. In this, he's got to go and do this thing. Now, there's this thing with this nano paint. That's the reason why he looks the way that he does. I'm going to say that's unnecessary because I get the idea that he wants to wear the armor and stuff like that. But this, like, to have so much complexity with the character, to have something so cheap like that, and why do I say cheap? There is technology in Star Wars that is not in our galaxy, our universe, right? Well, at least not that we know of. So let's just say our galaxy for now. The Skrulls really could be in the Andromeda galaxy. We don't know. But there is not that technology. Holographic technology, right? Lightsabers, which barely count because that's something that only a Jedi can do. So we're gonna take that back off the table. But blasters, right? The deep space technology that they use, hyperdrive, okay? All these different aspects, but the common theme of them all is that they're all based on war and the necessity of war. Yes, holographic technology, the communication is key to war. All of it is built around war. So, and people use it for subterfuge and other reasons, but that's what the technology is based on. They could technically have more technology than all of us ever, all around. They could have, I don't know, whatever, transporters, like in Star Trek if they wanted to. But what they're doing is stuff based on war, which is why you'll have weapons that are high tech, but everything else around you is really low tech. Like they drink out of plastic cups and stuff like that. Like, ew, think about the environment, brah. You know? I doubt that these people recycle, for crying out loud. So when you turn around, it's like, oh yeah, I've got this nano paint. It utilizes nanotechnology. No, I'm sorry. I refuse to believe that Star Wars has anything nanotech. I absolutely refuse to believe that. That took me out of the comic book. It's a simple little thing where he could have just simply said, what do you say, you paint your armor, a different color or something like that. I've got this fade away, this paint. It's paint that actually goes away. But as soon as you said nano, right away I'm like, no, that's too tech specific for Star Wars. I simply refuse to believe that. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to give away the rest of the book, except to say that the tournament is purely MacGuffin in this. It could have been an actual story. Instead, Charles Soule makes what I believe, and you could believe differently, is a mistake, because he makes the tournament a MacGuffin. Okay? A whole entire tournament that he has to go through just to be able to get the thing that he needs to get so that he can go and do the thing that he needs to do. Tournaments, to me, shouldn't really be a joke. Let me give you an example. This is a comic book, and I'm always going to refer to the Jim Shooter way of doing things, because that, to me, is just the ultimate way to do things. If you're going to do a thing, do it. Even in Islam, it says everything deserves its own measure of beauty. So if you're going to make a trinket, make it the most beautiful trinket you possibly can. That doesn't mean gaudy, but it also doesn't mean cheap and throwaway, right? So the idea that there's a tournament he's going to go into and we do the whole tournament in one issue. Look, when you've got a series like Dragon Ball, specifically Dragon Ball Z, where the whole thing is based off a tournament, that is a seller like nobody saw coming. And it was all based on a tournament. And all the really good mangas and or animes that, I'm not going to bring animes into that, but mangas, like the fighting manga, like when you put a tournament in there, dude, people just go crazy over it, right? And this, I felt like this could have been a prequel. Thanos Quest, the 2-issue series where Thanos actually goes and collects all the Infinity Gems, before, actually they were the Soul Gems, and he changed the name to the Infinity Gems in the Thanos Quest. That issue just came out. This little joint paperback issue just came out. The floppy just came out this week, and this is the prequel to the Infinity Gauntlet, which is kind of a big deal, right? So with that having come out, this tournament could have actually been the real introduction, the prequel to this miniature event, the War of the Bounty Hunters, right? This could have been the thing that led him into getting into this, and like some kind of other vendettas and whatnot, because like the vendetta that happens in here because of the tournament, that could have been worked. It could have been more than just a little thing that just happens. It could have been a real freaking thing. There's a part in here where one of the characters goes, or one of the announcers, just some throwaway character, says, wow, Boba Fett's been cutting off people's head and blowing off people's head and whatnot. I'm starting to think that he doesn't like heads. I thought that was a very good chuckle moment. It could have been funnier if that happened like 3 issues later, right? If we were reading issue after issue of not just the tournament, but other things actually happening around the tournament. And this is just one of the games. This is one of the rounds in here, but all sorts of other things wind up happening also. I'm down for that. I'm totally down for that, because then you see something like, I'm beginning to think Boba Fett doesn't like heads. Suddenly you want to go back, or at least you're thinking about those other issues, if not actually going back and opening up those old comic books again and saying, holy crap, he did kill the other 2 people with, by beheading them or blowing off their heads at some point also. Oh, wow. Sweet. Just a little something like that makes you go back and think about the book. I'm sorry, is that not exactly what you want? So when I see things like this, and I think you just made a tournament into a MacGuffin, right? We could look at Thor Ragnarok, where that worked. You had a tournament with one stupid thing. The challenger, who, for the most part, the main guy and nobody else, who was talking at least, knew who Thor was. And he's like, oh, yeah, Captain Sparklefingers. Sure, you can challenge my head guy. You don't have to work for it. Let's look at something else instead. Let's look at WWE, right? And WWE lately hasn't been the best, but you go back in the history of wrestling, you know what I'm saying, where not every match was a gimmick match. Like, you had to work to get to a gimmick match. Like falls count anywhere and no disqualifications. That's just called being lazy. Saying if every match is like that, then who cares? And you can have any match, any day, multiple times on the same show. That happens, but whatever. The idea is that when you have some guy who, like, oh, you're brand new to the company and you walk in, you're like, I want to challenge the top dog. I don't know who you are. No. The answer is no. You don't challenge me. You prove yourself worthy. And then the match will be booked. That's the way you do it. Because now you get to see the guy actually go through things. Does anybody remember back in the day? What was it? The no-nonsense era or something like that? Whatever the hell it was. Ruthless Aggression. Triple H wanted to marry Stephanie like he did, but he had to prove himself worthy to Vince. So Triple H had to wrestle like 5 times or more in that one episode of Raw. That was great. Don't we all like the King of the Ring, right? We like the King of the Ring. We like stuff like that. We like the idea that there's an actual tournament, Brawl for all, for crying out loud. Even though people got legit hurt on that, it was still entertaining to see, like, here's different blocks, and like, I can't wait to see this because I want to see who the big winner is going to be. Instead of just like, listen, and I understand the Thor thing worked in Thor Ragnarok. It worked. Why? Because it's a movie. And we are already familiar with who Thor is and who the Hulk is as the audience, the real audience for this, not the paid audience, in the movie. So to see, I want to challenge your top guy. Yeah, you don't want to work there? Are you sure? You just want to go and, charge after the top guy? Wouldn't it make sense for all of us to just go after the top guy instead of getting tired? Say so it works in a movie, but a comic book is more like WWE, is more like wrestling in general, where week after week, people are trying to prove themselves to be the top dog, to get the prize at the end, That there's a reason why large audience of people, not as much as before, but large swaths of people go crazy over WrestleMania and all these different things, because that's all that wrestling does. And yet we don't take that lesson and apply it here. We had a tournament that was finished in just a couple of pages, a whole entire tournament. I'm not digging on that at all. So if you thought it was cool and okay, we're just going to get to the real action, there could be more than one real action. And that's sometimes when the comic book is most fun. I know I railed on a lot about that. And if you disagree with me, you're more than welcome to disagree with me. You know what I'm saying? Tell me why. It's cool. I ain't mad at you. Jeez. But at the same time, tell me where the lies are. What lie have I actually told? So, anyway, guys, a good book that I feel could have been better and could have been more, and wouldn't you want to sell more? But definitely get your hands on the director's cut so that you can get your hands on the freaking finishes on this book, because, wow, truly amazing. This was an amazing issue. I'll talk to you guys later. Like the video and watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.